I'm David. Thanks for the intro. I'm a freelance web developer. I live in Zurich. I come from the French part of the country. You can probably hear that from my accent. And I created Juno, which we're going to try today. So what's Juno? Juno is a blockchain as a service solution which aims to make developers, to give them the ability to build applications super easily on Web3. That's basically the goal. And to give you a bit something more like a picture, basically, you know, like if you have developed apps, website, whatever, in normal stack, you know there is that concept of serverless where you have like Google Firebase or Supabase that gives you wonderful tool where you can have your database, your front end, your function, and so on. And you don't have to care about the infrastructure. And basically, what does Juno? But the same, but on blockchain. So that's the idea, like to have the same ease to build project without even knowing what's happening underneath. And what makes Juno different is that the developers are in control of what they do, like they are the central point. We will show that later, but basically, me as the developer of Juno cannot operate anything in their project. It's a usage-based pricing, meaning that since it's a reverse gas model, you pay in advance for what's consumed, so you're not going to have like 1 month $40,000 bill because you forget that some spam is coming to your app. So, I mean, if you put $5 and then it's gone, it's gone. But yeah, it's nice. It's open source, of course, because I don't know other way. And yeah, it's one of the goals I have. I hope that soon it will become a DAO, because it kind of doesn't make sense that I am the provider of everything, and I think it should be governed by all the community. And yeah, that's basically my goal for the next few months. So yeah, what I want to emphasize is that Juno is not an infrastructure. Juno is using the internet computer. Like, basically, Juno is a set of smart contracts and tools to build other smart contracts. There is currently no infrastructure, no chains itself in Juno. It's like just like a level of abstraction over the internet computer that makes everything kind of easy. I mean, yeah, of course I'm biased because I build everything, so for me it's going to be a bit easy, but yeah, I hope so. You're going to share that with me. So how does it work? So you see, I really like beautiful schema. And so basically, a developer that comes to Juno sign in an administration console, like any administration console. And once you have done, let's say, an account, you're going to have what I call the mission control, which is basically a smart contract. And from that smart contract, the developer can create other smart contracts that are either the application or analytics and so on. And as soon as the developer has that mission control, me as the provider, Juno or David or whatever, I cannot do anything. I can provide code so that the developer can install upgrade and so on. But for example, I cannot stop anything. I cannot access anything. So it's kind of for me, it's an interesting architecture, or I don't know, paradigm that I provide services, but I cannot do anything except providing, which is kind of nice. Yeah, and because it's supposed to provide the same experience as the tools I listed before, in Juno, you got an authentication, a data store, which is basically, it's not a database, like a key store thing. So you can store data that are up to 2 mega, but you can also have a storage, like for example, if you want to store images that are 10 mega or more. I would not store videos yet because you cannot stream videos, but it's like a file storage. You got hosting, because at the end you also want to have your dApp that are accessible on the web. You can register custom domain. There is also a module, an analytics module, which kind of also looked like a simple open source Google Analytics tool. You can also extend the capabilities with serverless. There is also monitoring, because like I say, you pay in advance, so if it goes low, you probably want to get an email to know that your project gonna be stopped soon, and so on and so on. So yeah, I've built quite few things. All right, I don't like slide, so anyone has a question up to here, or we jump? All right. So what I'm suggesting is that we try to build a note-taking app. If we have more time at the end, we can go fancy and build even more stuff, but my goal is that we try to build that, okay? And is anyone interested to follow at the same pace, or you're interested to do it on your laptop? Yeah? Just to get to know if I should go straight or not? Okay. So at the start, I'm gonna assume that some of you gonna build it too, and if no one does it, I'm just gonna continue, okay?
Sorry, question. On what level of, developer?
So if you have Node.js, if you can run Node.js on your machine, and you have an editor, you're gonna be fine.
If we have Node.js.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So, but beside that, it's like no level, because the workshop is basically getting an app and doing search and replace. All right. So for those who want to follow, you can fork the repo. It's like GitHub, Juno builds, workshops. I'm gonna do that here. Okay. Not bad. Okay. Deploy. Okay, big enough? Yeah, not bad, huh? Okay, so I clone the repo. I have to say that here we are exploring, we are following our workshop. Of course, it's not necessarily the experience you have when you start developing. You can convert an existing app, or you can start a new app. So, but here we are using something existing. And in workshop, we're gonna use React, because that's the only one I've styled so far. And when we are there, we install the dependency, okay? And once we have installed the dependency, we can start the app, okay? Okay, super. And I think that's the part. So, for those who follow, are you there? Right. Okay. So, of course, now we cannot do anything, because, like I said, we're going to search and replace, and also here, you see, like, nothing happens. So, what we want to do is, first, we're gonna be a bit like, let's say, we're gonna be a bit like YOLO, and we're gonna develop against production, against mainnet. You can develop locally, but here, so that I can show you also the console and so on, we're gonna go to the production directly, okay? So what you do, you go to console.juno.build. All right. Is it good? Okay. When we are here, we're gonna sign in, and we're gonna create that smart contract administration thing. So here we sign in with internet identity. I guess that most of you don't necessarily have an internet identity yet. So what I'm gonna do, I create one. So internet identity is the decentralized authentication protocol, app, and so on the internet computer. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna create one, I'm gonna create a passkey. So it works with a, I'm gonna use this one. It works with either the Touch ID or Face ID and so on and so on. So that means that there is no password, and yeah, of course I have to create this one. And I'm good. So at that point, my identity created, and what's important is that I save that number somewhere, because that's basically my anonymous number that I use each time I want to sign in. So if you do that at home, yeah, it's good that you really save that. And in addition, if you do that for real, you would also set up all these things like phrase key and so on, so that if you forget the number, you can find it back and so on and so on. But we're going to skip that part in that presentation, because I'm not here to present internet identity. But I mean, yeah, it took 30 seconds to make one, so it's pretty nice. And here I'm back in the console. That means that at this point, if I go back to my wonderful schema, where is it? At this point, here, that mission control has been created. So, of course, I'm myself, so yeah. But everything happened in the back end, but that means that here, the console is already speaking with a smart contract that is the smart contract of the developer. Okay? Good. Everybody is fine? Okay. Now that we have our mission control, we want to create an app, okay, or a dApp. So what we do, we're gonna create a satellite. So, yeah, you know, like a satellite is a smart contract on the internet computer, but that smart contract is not empty. It comes with all the features that you need to operate the things I've displayed before in Juno. So here we're gonna name it, for example, Ethereum theory. Okay. Ethereum, maybe that's better. Yeah. All right. Yeah, it takes like a few seconds to provision it, because again, here we are really on production, like on mainnet. Okay, so it's done. So if you are at that point, information should be loading. You see here I got like my name, and what's really important for our presentation is our satellite ID, which is the unique ID of that contract. Okay? So far so good? I assume that if no one screams, it's all right, huh? Otherwise you say. Okay, so what we're gonna do? Now I'm gonna open my application in my editor, and I'm gonna zoom, because otherwise, what is that? Oh yeah, this one. Big enough or a bit bigger? It's okay? Okay, super. So here we really begin the phase where we just find stuff. I explain a bit what it is, and we develop all these features of that taking app. So now that we have our smart contract, what we want to do is basically connect our app that runs locally so that the app can discuss with that particular smart contract. So we take the step one, and within our code, we search it. We're gonna uncomment that. Oh, sorry. I'm super bad at shortcuts. I should really learn it. So here you see we have to replace that satellite ID. So I go back to my console, I take the ID, I go back to the editor, and I put it. Right. So at that point, what we have said is our React app use a Juno library that I provide, and we say that library, you have to speak with that smart contract. And that's the initialization. From there, I guess we want to implement that sign-in, right? Because, as I said here, we cannot do anything at the moment. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna search for the step 2. All right, and basically we take that on click and we put it there. So you see it's like sign in come from the library we just initialized. So we defer to the library all the work to know what's happening and so on. So if I go back here and I click sign in, you see we have the authentication that is opening. By the way, I should really save the number. Sorry, I forgot to do that before. I'm gonna do it here. So 23. Because otherwise, after the workshop, I don't remember what identity I created. Okay, sorry for that. So here we can sign in. And that's what I said before. If you do it that for real, when you go home afterwards, you're gonna set up a recovery phrase so that you're sure that you don't lose your identity someday. But we are in a YOLO mode, and we go straight to the point. Okay. All right. So the sign-in worked out, but nothing happens in our app, because in our app we don't get the user and say, okay, now we are signing it, let's see what's happening. So what we do, we actually take the step 4, and in the step 4, we're gonna uncomment those lines. So the library provides a callback that always gives you the user. So the user is authenticated, the user is not authenticated, and so on and so on. So when I go back here, you see now I'm in the app because the user has come. And we can also, since we are there, we can take the step 3 and uncomment the logout, because if you have a login, it's probably useful to have a logout too. All right. And if I go come here, I can log out and I can sign in. Super. And what's interesting here is, like, since I got user that sign in, I maybe want to see if people sign in my app. So if I go to the console and I go to authentication, yeah, it works. So here I see that one user signed in. So of course it's fully anonymous. There is like an identifier, which is what we call the principal ID. It's basically a public key, and that's everything I know about the user. I don't track neither when they sign in, when they sign out. Yeah, I mean, it's just, yeah, maybe we can, but I don't see the point, so I did not did it. But you see when they created their identity. And of course, if I sign in with another, I mean, if I sign in with one of my other identity, maybe not, maybe. If I go back, I should really implement a refresh button one of those days. You see, now there is 2, and so on and so on. So I guess it's pretty clear what's happening here. Okay? Right, so we have an authentication. And what's interesting here is like, based on this authentication, we can use the other feature of Juno by providing a certain level of permission. Like we can create services that are public, or we can create services where we say, no, only the people that have registered can access those services. So, yeah, let's try to use one of those services. In the app here, we have an entry, and the ID is a note-taking app, so I can register things, okay? So we want to register this data. And to do that, we have to implement the submit button, as we did for the login. So what we do is, we take the step 5 here, and we uncomment the step 4. So what's happening here, it's a function that comes from the library where I said I want to save a document. A document is like an entity that I want to save in my smart contract. I give a destination, which is like within that smart contract, I want to save that in a collection called notes, and here it's just the text. And you see here, we want to save to a collection notes, so that's particular to Juno. That means that, ooh, funny win. Nothing is happening right now, or I should have an error, because we don't have created yet that collection, okay? So if we go back to the console and we go to the data store, which is like that simple key pair dump database, let's call it like that. We go to collection, and here we're gonna create that particular notes collection. So I can create how many collections I want. And that's what I told you before. You can set different privileges, like say, I want to have it public, I want just the user to be able to see their data, or I can see manage, which is basically the user and me as the administrator can see the things, or me as a controller, as an administrator, can edit stuff. So here we're gonna take manage, which is the default. The memory is like, you got two types of memory. They are both different advantages. And basically, stable is the one where you can really grow. Like you can have, I don't know, it's multiple giga, but with a collection, I would not go that far. I would rather do small collection to have data that are fast. And you got a heap, which are more like, let's say stable is more like ROM memory in computer, and heap is a bit more like RAM. Let's call it like that. And you can also set a max capacity, which is in that collection, I just want, for example, 100 entries, and when there is like the 100th one, the first one is popped out, and so on, kind of to have like a queue. And you can make things immutable if you want. All right, so we are good. I'm gonna create that collection. So that's not normal. Ah, yeah, just a bit slow. So if we go back here and I try again, when I do submit, it should pop up, enters this data in that collection. Yeah, it succeeded. If I go back to my console, then I jump to data. I'm gonna have the collection. Here you see I got now my entry with the hello world, okay? So then, yeah, every time you enter, there is no data in it and so on. But now I can list that in the console. That would be interesting to list those also in my apps. I mean, it's like, if I can enter data, I generally like to see them. So what you do is we go to the step 6, and we're gonna uncomment this one, which is, I mean, it's like if we have a set doc, then we have a list docs, and if we enter data in the collection nodes, then we query the data from the collection nodes. okay? And if I go back here, you see I should have an entry. Okay? So far, so good? Good. So let me just check my workshop things, but I think, yeah. As I told you before, you can have these smallish kind of database entries, but you can have also files, okay? So what we're gonna do, we also gonna try to save a file within our project. So what we do is, where do we begin? Yeah, by the code. So we take the step 7, and we uncomment the step 7 here. I remove the previous line. And what gonna be, I mean, it's not really, it has nothing to do with Juno. It's more like particular to that app. What we're gonna do is we take the step 8 and we put it here next within the set doc. So that way we upload a file, we get a link back to the file, and then when we save the document, we save the document with the link to the file so that when I display the documents in the UI, I can add a link to the document. So it's more like, because I choose like a simple pattern for the app than something really clever. Okay, so here I'm gonna take like a small screenshot of that so that I got some materials to upload. Okay. Of course, here, if we would like now to select the file and click submit, nothing will happen, because for the same reason as before, we have first to open a collection for the file that have to be uploaded. So what we do, we jump to storage, which is the file storage, and it's the same mechanism. I go to collection, start a collection, except that here it's not called notes, but it's called images. You got the same ID with the permission. The difference is like that anything that is uploaded to the storage is public on the web. So through the web URL, you're gonna find those. So coding-wise, you can make those private by, we don't do that in the demo, but here you could potentially add something like a token where you, for example, give like a super complex long hash, ID, or whatever, something really difficult to brute force or hack. So that way, these files are available on the web, but only queryable if you provide that as a query parameter. That way, they are per se not private, but if no one knows the address, no one can find those and brute force those. All right, and you can also put like a maximal size, because maybe you don't want like an attacker that begins to upload giga and giga of data. Right, and here what I'm gonna do, so I'm gonna submit. And of course it takes a bit more time because the file has to be chunked and then all the chunks are sent to the smart contract, but I mean, it's acceptable, I would say. But yeah, it's a matter of point of view. All right, and here, yeah, we got our second nodes, and that's the link I told you, which I implemented. If we click here, then we have our screenshots. And if I go to the console, you see that here, if I go to storage, it's the same ID. Where I click on images, maybe I should really implement a spinner there too. And you see, you have the link and so on and so on. So like you would have like the token and yeah. So the token, which is like the private things. All right. So the app is actually ready. Right? It's nice. We are all good? Okay. Should we try to deploy it on mainnet? I mean, since we are already there. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna install a CLI, okay? So again, that's a workshop in let's say in real life, I don't know. In real life, I rarely use the CLI because I got a GitHub action and I put GitHub action in my project, and that's my action that publish things on release, basically. But since we are there, let's do it manually. So we install a CLI globally for our project. Yeah, it's a bit heavy, but you can do lots of things with it, like deploying and clearing and upgrading and so on and so on. And once we are done, we're gonna do a login. And because I got multiple browsers here, I just gonna specify that I want to start in Chrome. It supports Chrome, Firefox, and Edge, I think, at the moment. I use the library to do that. And here, so you probably don't have that question, but I have it. It's because I'm already logged in on my laptop. So it just asks me if I want to add one more project to my account or if I want to create a brand new identity or control. And I just gonna do a new to show you how it works. So, all right. So here, yeah, you see, I got like I got a few, but I'm not in my incognito browser. Sorry. Yeah, that's better. So what it does, it basically says the CLI has generated a private public key on my terminal, and it sends the public key to the console. And there I say, do I want to grant access to my smart contracts, my project, to the public key, basically. And here it's like the mission control and the project we have created. The int is just like something that is displayed if you begin to have multiple projects so that you know which one is which one. And then you say authorize. Because, yeah, I mean, I want to operate it, yeah, right? Okay. Yeah, okay, all right, I'm good. So if I go back here, we are logged in. So that means that from my terminal, I can operate my app. So I'm gonna build it. And now we're gonna deploy it. So I do a Juno deploy. And I'm gonna delete that because otherwise it's gonna. So I deleted the existing Juno configuration file in the repo because I forgot to delete it in the repo before coming to do the workshop. So sorry for that. So if you have a Juno config in the project, you can delete it. Sorry for that. Okay. So here it says, okay, it's not configured. So where do you want to deploy that stuff? And if you have multiple projects, then it's gonna show you the list and you can select the one you want. And here I just have one. So I select demo. Then you don't have that question. We can have a look later. It's for the analytics. Here you say the build folder. So in our case, I've built to the dist folder. So when I do npm run build, where the file goes. So I do dist. And that's the funny things. I can choose which types of language I want to use for my configuration file. So I'm gonna use JavaScript. And if everything goes according plan, yeah, so start to deploy. And yeah, I mean, it used the same. You know, we have uploaded the images to the file storage. So basically, deploying the app, it's the same thing. It deploys those assets to the file storage, and then it's the file storage that is served on the web. And yeah, we are good. So now if I do a Juno open, we have our app that is deployed on mainnet. So I'm gonna take it here to use the same browser. And one interesting thing is now when I sign in on that deployed app, is that even though I use the same identity, it's gonna generate another pair of key. That way, I'm gonna actually have two users in the application. I got like the one I used locally and the one I use now on the one that is deployed. And the reason behind is like you have one identity, but regardless where you sign in on the internet computer, you always have a different ID. That way, you cannot track people. And yeah, something I actually really like. And if you set, for example, then a custom domain, like let's say we're gonna have sample junoapp.com, then when you sign in, it's gonna be another one. But soon, I think as of next week, if you want to have like samplejunoapp.com or www.samplejunoapp.com, then there is a way to have the same person. So there is some ways to do it, but per default, if you jump, it's anonymous. And yeah, here, since we have already worked against mainnet, I mean, we don't have anything to configure since we already done the configuration on mainnet. So that's for the basic, I would say. Like that's the idea. So I don't know if you managed to follow, if anyone has question. Yeah?
I was wondering who is paying for the cycles for this service?
So thanks for asking. So when the cycles are paid by the developers, but the two first smart contracts you get there also, there's two, this one and the app we have created are paid right now by me. And then you get a bit of cycle so that you see you have enough to experiment and so on. And currently, like doing queries on the web are basically free. So that means like if you want to have your website on the IC, we are far away of this $5 a month that was displayed in the previous talk. It's like, I don't know, like the Juno website. So I mean, everything is in the IC, and I rarely had cycles. So yeah, and but then yeah, what I wanted to answer your question. So then the developers pay for the cycles, and if you start to build more projects, like another one, then you have currently it's 0.3 ICP to start a new things. It's not indexed right now. It's just me that changed the price, and basically it's like every 10 I go with the price lower. So as soon as we are stable at 20, then it's gonna be a bit lower. And it's the same if you start the analytics, then it's also the same price. And yeah, speaking of, maybe I can show you that. So the analytics is it works the same way. Like you start a smart contract, you add a library to your project, and then it basically works. And once you are done, you can have something like this. If it loads, yeah. Maybe, yeah, you see? So here, I'm actually tracking all the metrics of the website of Juno. You see here? So here I can see like you would have like in any analytics tool. So you have the number of sessions, the Unix view, and so on. You can see what are your top 10 referrers, and so on. The intro, like yeah, you see more people using Chrome, and so on and so on. So of course you can use another tool, but it's kind of interesting to have all these the smart contracts that you own those, That's your data and no one else. And yeah, I kind of like it. Any other question? Yeah?
Other than the storage, what are some other limitations of building with Juno or just in general?
So I think, for example, you cannot have like right now the data store, the simple database there. It's not super optimized for having like lots of entries. Like doing a get document is gonna be fast, but if you want to have like, I don't know, thousands and thousands and thousands, and then do a list of that, then I think it's limited. So for example, I don't think you can build a Twitter feed, you know what I mean? It's more like, I think it works super well for websites, or super well for a note-taking app, this kind of thing, or even maybe a wallet, but you cannot build a ledger, I would say, like that. I don't have the exact numbers because I'm a bit lazy on the statistics. So if anyone is hearing and want to do some benchmark to tell me where are the limits, you are welcome. And yeah, I think it's I'm a bit biased, but for me it's a great tool to also to prototypes. Like if you want to build something on Web3 like just on a weekend, it's like, I mean, it's really work well. All right. Since we have a bit more minute, I can maybe show you how we can. I think we still got time, right? Yeah. 20. Oh. Yeah, you see, it's too fast to build stuff on Juno. It's incredible. I'm a good marketer. Right? It's not that I was not meant to be so fast. All right. I can show you basically. Yeah, we have seen all the stuff that you can make from the front end, but since a few months now, you can also extend the capabilities of Juno and basically opening everything you can do on the IC by supercharging the features, okay? So, of course, I prepare something, so let's do that. All right. I'm not sure it's gonna be, yeah, I'm just gonna do it. I'm not sure you can follow by coding at the same time because I'm probably gonna make some errors too, so let's do it. So, first thing first is here, always develop against. No, actually, we can do it without. Yeah, let's try it. Always develop against mainnet, but we can also do it locally. All right. So to do that, I need Docker, and here I gonna go to my configuration, and I gonna say that I want to use Juno locally, which is I want to use a container. I'm gonna start this, and here I'm gonna start the developer environment of Juno. So here, because it's not set, he asks me what I want to do, and so on and so on. So it starts a simulated internet computer on my machine. And it deploys things I need. Okay. And now that we are there, I can go to my configuration, and you know we have that console for mainnet, which I don't have locally. So here I have to create this collection, which was nodes, I think, with what do we have? We had write permission, which was managed, read permission, which was managed. What do we have? That was stable, I think. Ooh, that might failed. And that was true. Okay. Okay. Of course. So it detects that I changed my configuration, and it tries to update the things, which of course doesn't work because it's a demo that I prepared, you know. So I'm just gonna do that. Sorry, I gonna. I'll try to start with a fresh Docker container. And if it doesn't work, I'm just gonna skip the local development, and we're gonna go straight to my funny part. Okay, so here you see he deployed the satellites, he developed and so on, the smart contract we had. Oh, it worked out. Super. So when I go to the I'm gonna switch gear. You see now when I'm developing, still not good. It's because here, yeah. True, and I need the ID. There is a, for real project, there is a Vite plugin that injects the environment variables, but I don't have configured it here, so I just gonna. No, but I'm stupid, it's documented. Yeah, sorry for that. So here, right, plugin. Do I have the address here? No? No, all right. Anyway, sorry for that. Module, satellites. You don't have to believe me, but I swear it's better when you do it with a bit of preparation. Anyway, so here, if I sign in, you see now it's using localhost, okay? So when I create an identity, now locally, there is no, it's just like internet identity, the authentication provider is also deployed locally. So yeah, I don't have to create like a crazy passkey and so on. Okay. And now where it's gonna begin, where the fun's gonna begin, what we're gonna do is we're gonna eject the satellites. We say we don't want to use just the normal Juno. We want to eject it so that we can add some stuff in it. All right, and now I'm gonna open Rust Rover because this project is actually on Rust. So what's it called? Workshop, huh? Yes, React. Okay. You see now, here in my project, I got a library, and it comes with a set of hooks. So what we can do now is like, instead of starting for a blank page, we start with functions that are gonna be triggered when something happens. So the idea is that, where was I? I was here. If I enter a document, that the smart contracts call itself asynchronously to start a job in the backend where I can do stuff, basically. So what we can try to do is like, I enter hello world, but I get another text back when it's finished. Okay? So I'm gonna take an example because I'm not fully crazy. And we're gonna do that. So here what we do is like, it's out nodes that we enter, right? And when we enter that, we enter, I think we enter, where is it? Table. Where is our set doc? So you see, we have a text and maybe an URL, right? And it's the data. Okay. So we have a text and we have an URL. I'm just gonna skip it for sake of simplicity. And what we can do is we can get this and already print it. That would be a good start, I think. So here, tick, tack, okay. So what we do is like here we say, when a document is saved in my database, I want the smart contracts to call itself and right now just decode those data that have been persisted and print out who has done that. Doesn't, yeah, I think it's a start. So what we do is we build our smart contract. And what you're gonna do once it's ready, you're gonna update the local server replica internet computer that is running up. All right. So, yeah. The good thing is it do that once. So after that, we're gonna be fine. And yeah. And what's interesting there is like there are a few things that you don't want to do in your front end. You know, like for example, if you want to check the balance of an address to see if there is ICP, or if you want to do like a call to Ethereum or something like where you really want to have like a safe and trust environment, then you're gonna do that in the back end and not in the front end. So right, so satellite has been compiled, and here we see that it has been upgraded. So I'm not sure I don't have a bug, but if I save here, if everything goes well, yeah, you see, we have our call here, okay? So of course, now that I feel a bit better because I know it works. So what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna copy that code and I'm gonna explain to you. So what we do is we take our data that we have received, and here I say hello world, and instead of hello world, we're gonna overwrite the text that is given, and we add checked at the end, and then we convert back the data. I prepare those, and here we save back the data in the store. Okay. So if I go here and I compile, then it should upgrade, and oh, okay, that's surprising because it was super fast. No, the thing is like the backend code is asynchronous. So it's possible that you get the answer with what you have entered and that it kicks afterwards and that you don't see it if you don't refresh the state on the front-end side. You know? But here it was so fast that, yeah, it was already there. So it works, it's super. So we still have time? Okay. 5 minutes. 5 minutes, okay. Do you have question? No? Okay. Do you want to go? Okay, we have 5 minutes, we go crazy, and I propose that we derive an Ethereum address just for fun. Okay? Since it's an Ethereum conference and I have to do something for Ethereum, so what? All right. So, okay. I don't know if I can make it in 5 minutes, but let's try it. So I've prepared that example beginning of the week, so we're gonna need a bit some library. So I just need Ether core and this. So at the end, there should be a crate, but yeah, it's what I need. So I go here and I add those to that, and I hope you're gonna install those. And in my library, I'm gonna take this 2 module because right now it's not explained. I'm gonna show you that in a second. All right. Okay, so what we do is suggest that what we do is here we use that function I just imported to generate an ETH address, and we're gonna add it here, right? Yeah. So to explain what's happening, what we do is basically we use I'm not the specialist of that kind of things. I stole the code in a wallet for which I work for, because I do the front-end part and I know that's the code that works. And I think tomorrow or Sunday, there is a presentation from the foundation, the Definitive Foundation, about the Ozy wallet. So basically, I stole the code from there. So go to that presentation, they will explain how it works, okay? But long story short is what we do is basically the canisters, the smart contracts derives an Ethereum address from my public key, my authentication, the one I use when I sign in, you know. And then that way, when I don't have to save something, I don't have to save a private key in my browser. It's like the derivation happens in the smart contract, and that way I can sign in on my phone, or I can sign in on the same wallet on my laptop, and I always gonna have the same Ethereum ID securely. Okay? So that's not clear at all. That's why there is a presentation this weekend. Okay? But anyway, what we do is like I use what's called the ECDSA for the derivation, and there is like an Ethereum part there that is there to use that to generate my Ethereum public key, okay, on Sepolia. So if I build that stuff, it does not work, of course. What do I do? Can I do that? No? Okay, so Ether core et 256. Ok. Cargo add Ether. All right. So here I got this one, So here I'm gonna try again. Better. Oh no, again 200 module. Oh man. Yeah. So.
It's okay, it can be a couple of minutes.
Okay, good. Yeah, yeah. I still have 1 minute. We can do it.
Quite fast.
Yeah, it's not bad. Yeah.
It's faster than my laptop.
Okay.
I don't have a MacBook.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It's like JavaScript. Once you have the module, then you are fine. It's been just like the first time. And yeah, almost there. I'm a bit ashamed that it's like the Juno one that takes the more time. All right, so it deploys. Oh, funny things. So let's try. Does it work? So here, I guess that's gonna be too slow, right? So I'm just gonna check that there is no mistakes. So here, incredible. And yeah, so that's a real address on Sepolia. I mean, I can really go to my MetaMask, transfer things, and I would get the money. And yeah, that's the cool thing, because now, like, I don't remember which which address I've used here, but if I would jump in another browser, sign in, then I would get that address too. So it's kind of convenient. So yeah, so that's it. Yeah.
You mentioned it's asynchronous, the hooks
Yeah,
that you
yeah.
create, but in the sense that you do, how do you handle it? You don't handle it in the same update call, right? Or
Yeah, exactly. It's not in the same update call. It's a timer set to 0.
okay. So
Okay.
it's a kind of a intercanister call to yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's maybe not the cheap, but I wanted to have that. I didn't want it to block things. I didn't want it to cause too much execution, and you can disable. Like if you start on Juno, it's disabled, and you can also go to the. You see, for example, you can have a collection and say, I want just that collection, or just that and that collection with a comma. And here, actually, in the Ethereum demo that I have in my repo, I hooked on when the user is created. So when the user is created, I derive the Ethereum address and I save the address in a profile, basically. And what's also new is, since last version, there is assertion too, so that's synchronous, and that happens before the document is entered in the smart contract. So that way the developer can also define own rules. So, but that's synchronous.
So if you think about the Postgres equivalent, this is the before trigger, and that is the
Yeah,
after trigger.
exactly. Yeah. So, yeah. And the thing is, like, you got your function, and at the end of the create, you got just include the satellite, which basically includes everything. And yeah. And then if you want to upgrade, like, I mean, I won't upgrade it since we added that Ethereum key and so on. Well, no, actually I can. I don't care. So here you just do Juno upgrade, target satellite, -s, the file that we just compiled. And yeah, and let's go. And the thing is, like, now there is, like, you get the version of Juno and you get your own version. So you kind of follow the library version, kind of, and then you can also have your own version, which is kind of nice. So, and you're gonna saw that, yeah, that's a bit slow, yeah. But
Every time I do Juno build, I get the new satellite code, or
no.
does it go inside include satellite, or
Yeah. So you mean like this?
yeah, exactly.
So that's just locally. So it's basically a cargo build.
Yeah, but you said you can follow both.
Yeah. So you go here in your console. So there is in the console and the CLI. So here a version gonna tell you where you are, if your CLI is up to date, and so on and so on. You see here my CLI is, yeah, I don't know why. And here you see, yeah. And this happens because in the demo version I did here, I guess, yeah, I don't know what's happening here. I may have used like a previous version to make the demo. And that's why here I got like previous version, and that's my version. And then you got that big warning, and if you want to upgrade here, then the console's gonna tell you, are you really sure? Because that's not the Juno version, it's like your own version. If you do that, you lose your function. So you got like a cover. Yeah, that's why there is that warning to remind you that maybe you don't want to do that. Yeah. Any other question? All right. So thank you for your time. Yeah, enjoy the apéro and your weekend. Yeah. Thank you.